Paige, who has been a Brand Builders Group client for, gosh, almost 5 years or just under 5 years, a really long time. In fact, I had the pleasure to work with her for her first half of the journey, and then she is now working with one of our other incredible strategists. However, just so you all know a little bit about Dr. Paige, as phenomenal as she may be, she is an osteopathic family doctor. So family physician. And so many of you, like when you think personal brands, you think personal brand is influencer, podcaster, speaker, and although she may do these things, at the end of the day, she runs her business being an osteopathic family physician. She also has been a longtime professor at Ohio University, and she's the founder of a holistic healthcare collaborative called Signature Primary Care and Wellness, which has disrupted the industry of holistic healthcare with the way that she's doing it. And so if you're listening in and you are usually a woman, but it can be for a man, but ultimately she really works with women who are feeling stressed, who are feeling tired, who are feeling overwhelmed, overweight, and generally older than how they really are. This is where she comes in and does her magic. And now I don't know about y'all, but everyone, in my opinion, knows a female who's tired, overwhelmed, stressed out, unhappy with their weight, and feeling like, gosh, I don't have the energy that I should have at this point in my life. And so ultimately, she is helping patients stop the cycle of being sick and tired with feeling sick and tired. So welcome, Paige.
Thank you so much. It's so nice to chat with you again.
Yeah, well, like I said, per usual, I don't ever have an agenda. I just like to see how things go. So one thing that I do have a question for you is, can you, if someone does not, if a female is listening to this, or a man, but really, I know you love working with women, and they're going, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I am stressed. I'm tired. I'm overwhelmed. I'm anxious. I don't feel good about my weight. And they don't live in Ohio, because I know that's where you live. If they don't live in Ohio, can they still get help by you?
For sure. One of the maybe blessings of craziness over the past few years is that so many more people are open to working virtually, I think, right?
Yeah.
And so I have loved that as well. I've always worked with people virtually, locally, people that live near me that come to the office sometimes, but might want to connect for a telehealth visit. And so that really inspired us to just open things up really nationwide, even internationally, to work with women. And of course, they have their, local doc that takes care of maybe the springs and strains and all of that stuff. But where I come in is more of an integrative functional health specialist that, like you said, maybe they've gone to their local doctor and they're like, oh, your blood work is fine, nothing's wrong. And these women are still sitting there saying, hey, I'm stressed, tired, overweight, overwhelmed, feeling older than I should. Something is up. And so we dive deeper and help them find what are the root causes of those feelings and how can we meaningfully, though not painfully, make small changes to get the snowball rolling in the right direction.
Yeah. Is that in what way, I would say, is there a common denominator that you see as the main reason why people are feeling these symptoms? Is there a commonality of almost every patient I see, 9 times out of 10, they're struggling with this? What is it?
Oh my gosh, I love that you asked that question, because I frequently say I annoy people every single day by telling them, oh, it's not one thing. We have to do all of these things. But that is either super frustrating, or to me, it's honestly very empowering to know there's not some one huge thing that you have to change. Oftentimes it is a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this. And we make these small tweaks to things that might be, on paper in traditional medicine normal, but aren't optimized. And then we kind of get things rolling gradually with small tweaks. But I would say of those small tweaks, I'm always a huge fan of looking holistically. So I'm looking at mind stuff, what is our stress level? Are
Yeah.
we overstimulated? Are we expecting too much of ourselves with our schedule? So sometimes there's some tough realities of like loosening up some time and really taking time for ourselves and setting some boundaries. We look biochemically, literally down to like what are our blood counts doing? What's our thyroid doing? What are our hormones doing? Are we hydrating? What's our nutrition like? Structurally, like, are we moving our bodies in a way that's kind and loving? So it's a lot of the easier said than done category, but it's so powerful. Like,
Yeah.
and probably the number one thing, if I had to pick one thing, which is not glamorous, so I always leave it to the end, is sleep. I mean, no, I don't meet with someone whose sleep is optimized very frequently.
What are tricks for people if they're going, I know I suck with my sleep, right? What are tricks that you have to help optimize? And I don't know if it's tricks or tips or techniques or
Yeah.
whatever. But if someone's going, okay, I can do that. I can focus on my sleep. What are the things that they need to do that would help them optimize their sleep? Or how do they even know if they need to optimize their sleep?
Yeah, good question. So one, a lot of people say, hey, if you're not waking up feeling energized in the morning, then look at your sleep. I kind of soften that a little bit because I think it's honestly not physiologic for us to be like bouncing right out of bed in the morning with all this energy, right? Like our body deserves a warm up period. I remember a quote I saw one time that said, not even an energy plant has energy. I'm like, what are you talking about? An energy plant generates energy. So it's like, what does our body, let's not judge our body the moment our eyes, open in the morning. Hey, is this going to be a good day or a bad day? Am I feeling energetic or not? Let's give our body a chance to generate some energy. Let's get up. Let's stretch from head to toe. Let's drink some water. Let's put our mind to something positive and not like dreading what we have to do first thing in the morning.
Yeah, like this morning, I was like, I have to talk to Paige. Like, I cannot wait to get out of bed. But
Why, thank you. So let's give ourselves a chance. But, after that warm up period, it may or may not involve a little cup of caffeine. It's okay. We can do this. Truly, if you are not feeling ready to go, you have to look at the quality of your sleep. And one of the first things I have people do, we are very accustomed to using an alarm clock to wake up in the morning. I think we all should be using an alarm clock to put our butts to bed at night. Because, oftentimes at night, we all have this little toddler in our brain that like doesn't want to go to sleep. We don't want to miss anything. We want to keep scrolling. We want to watch our Netflix. We want to do everything at night, especially if you have kids. Like after the kids are asleep, it's like a party, right? So just knowing your daily schedule and saying, okay, let me set a little reminder. Okay, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, whatever you decide, an hour before you want to be asleep, to start winding down. We all kind of sometimes get tricked into the expectation of we want to go, fall asleep. It's not the way our body works. We have to have that wind down time at night.
yeah, I was gonna say our iPhones do that. If you all have like that top, I don't know, that main alarm at the very top, it will start telling you when to go to bed, which I love. But mine's like super early. It's like 8:45. Start getting ready for bed.
Yes.
Dang it.
Yes, our gadgets can be used for good. I'm a huge fan of a tracker that doesn't necessarily like take off over your life. And so something like that sleep reminder on your iPhone or your Oura Ring, I'm a huge fan of. But yeah, it is a little bit of a bummer when you're getting the bedtime reminder at 8 a.m. like you're a toddler, literally.
I know. I was like, how is it so late? And I'm like, oh my gosh. Well, tell me a little bit about, and this is always a question I ask no matter who I'm talking to, is like, why would you as a physician need, like, what made you go, I want to work with my brand? And I want to work with people on my brand. And, why are you still here 5 years later? Just for other people that are in this space and in your industry who don't quite get it as to how it would be helpful. Like, tell me what made you originally reach out and then why you're still here.
Yeah, I love that. So So I think one, I knew that I had to look outside of my industry right away when I decided to change my medical practice. So I am an osteopathically trained family physician, trained very holistically, but then got kind of sucked into the traditional healthcare system and worked in a very like fast-paced traditional family medicine practice for 13 years. So it came to the point where I just morally and ethically did not feel like I could practice medicine that way and was looking for ways to change my business model.
Yeah.
I knew it was not in me to like work for the big guys and wanted to go out on my own. And so I am in a membership-based private practice. And so when I start, I have a few colleagues that have done this before me. It's not like I, made everything up, but I knew right away that the good ideas, the creative minds were going to be outside of my industry. And so I knew that I need to look for support that we're doing things differently than what was being done in the medical world because that was not working, right?
Yeah.
And so the thing that really kind of spurred me on towards working on my brand was honestly just that I knew that my business model required such education. Every industry requires trust, right? When someone's going to work with you. I felt like I had that trust within the traditional healthcare model, but I needed to rebuild that trust in a new model. And so, you all call it branding. I think a lot of people out there like still have a hard time wrapping their head about that. But to me, it was like, hey, I know that I'm doing good things in my industry and I'm doing them in a way that's very different. How can I educate the people and get them on board with this party that I'm throwing for them in the best way possible? And I really, specifically to Brand Builders Group, obviously I just love your leadership and love that you stand for heart-centered messengers, purpose-driven messengers.
Yeah.
And so automatically I knew that I was in a safe room. And what's kept me here for so long, for one, some people would probably say I'm not like the quickest implementer. I will accept this. So that has kept me here. However, I relate to brand builders offering so much because they're very much like my business. I want people to feel like I provide every aspect of health, mental health, cognitive health, biochemical support, structural support. I am kind of that one-stop shop. And that's what I see in Brand Builders Group. I mean, it's just literally like a business education in all avenues. And so I haven't, in 4 or 5 years, I haven't uncovered all the wonderfulness that you all have. Well, one, you keep adding to it, so that helps too. But
keep sucking you back in.
Right?
It's like every year, and then we got this.
And then when you write a book, you're going to be a New York Times bestseller. Okay.
Oh my gosh. Shout out to all our clients who are hitting that right now. It's crazy. We have 2 this week on the Wall Street Journal list. This week. It's like amazing.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Oh, you need a PR team? We got it now.
Yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. You need help with anything? But no, that's funny. I do love that.
It's a great message because what I've learned from that I've implemented in my community is just listening to people, and people's needs evolve. I'm not teaching the same like cookie cutter approach the whole time. I mean, it was never cookie cutter, but as my client evolves, my offerings need to evolve, and it's good for them, and it's more fun for me, right? Because I'm evolving too. I have new things to teach. There's new science to teach. There's new support to be had. So
I think that's really important because a lot of people will create one thing and then they'll never innovate it, right? And they'll just like live on this one thing. But it's going, well, this is why people are leaving. Even if they've been 3 years, it's like, great, I've had them for 3 years, but it's like, what would it look like to know them for 10 years? And, it's like, I consider you a friend, not a client. And I feel like if I'm in Ohio, I can hit you up and be like, well, let's just go hang out and not talk about business, right? And that's the relationship. I don't know why anyone wouldn't want that with their clients. And I'm an introvert, so that's, it's like, that's not normal. But I think that that's how you get that, is just by going, what else can we do to stay ahead of the curve and also solve? And it's not even about, and same thing with medicine, what you do, it's not about being fancy ahead of the curve and like being like, oh my gosh, this is so cutting edge. It's going, I am staying one step ahead of all my clients and their needs, and I have an ear
Yeah.
out times for what can I do to make this better for them.
Yep.
And I think that is why it's so important for people like you and our clients. Like, you have to be heart-centered, you have to be mission-driven.
Yeah.
And if not, and you're driven by the money, it's like you don't give a crap enough to do that hard work of listening to needs and making adjustments that are not always the easiest.
Yeah, for sure. That's really what has driven me to focus more on female health. Of course, I went into medicine wanting to be a primary care physician. I trained birth till death, delivered babies in residency, really supporting the whole gamut. And so I still have a love for that family health care. But as I started listening to more females who were going, to specialists or having unique issues to female physiology and female transitions of life, and realizing, gosh, even the system that I trained in does not do female physiology service. I'm thinking I need to like level the playing field a little bit. I need to be unapologetic about focusing on female physiology and female support a little bit more.
Why do you
And
think that's missing? Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
oh, why is it missing?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I don't want to be too Debbie Downer, but medicine, just like a lot of our systems, has been a little bit patriarchal in nature, both in medical training. I mean, when I went to medical school, technically my class was 50-50 as far as male, female, but it wasn't too many years before that where females were the minority in
Yeah.
medical training. And so our point of view was a little underrepresented. Even now, in a lot of specialties, there are training programs who have never trained a female neurosurgeon or a female, fill in the blank, which is
Yeah.
crazy to me.
Yeah.
But then also you get into like, where does the science come from? It's impossible to study every single unique genetic makeup, right? But it's a heck of a lot harder to study females because essentially we have 4 phases of our menstrual cycle, so 4 different types of physiology, and it costs a lot more money to study us. So it's just now in recent years, like recent decade even, that there's been some movement in requiring these scientific bodies that are doing research to have equal research on males and females, because females aren't just, you just can't extrapolate the physiology, right?
Yeah. It's also, I love that you're saying like, I have to level it up, because it's like, if not you, then who, right? Like, you see an issue, you can provide a solution. If you don't do it, like, who's going to do it? And so I'm curious, like, for people who you're resonating with, of going, what I'm doing isn't working. I've been to a ton of specialists. Like, that was me. I think I've spent like 50K in the last, I probably shouldn't say that, but in the last few years, just trying to figure out my health issues, and finally found someone. But I don't know. See, like, you're right in front of me, and I never even thought like, that's the issue, right? And it's the most frustrating thing in the world. And it's going, I don't want to do more tests. I don't want to see more specialists. I don't want to do more acupuncture, like whatever it might be. I don't, want to go punch a bag because, this wasn't me, but I had a friend who had gallbladder issues, and they're like, well, it's anger stored in your body, so you have to go like kickboxing and get that anger out. And that didn't help her. But ultimately there's all this confusing stuff. So it's going, if someone was to come to you, like, what makes you different?
Yeah, I think you mentioned it just there. It's like, so many people go around saying, let me try this, let me try that, let me try this, let me get this approach from a naturopathic doctor, or let me get this approach from the super, neuroscientist doctor or whatever. And I feel like my uniqueness is bringing together the best of safe science with the most natural approaches, which involves really respecting the body's ability to heal itself. What I thought of when you were talking, about like spending all this money going and trying to solve your health problems is, yes, we always have to investigate, we always have to assess. And one of the things I focus on a lot with my clients is even a self-assessment. Like, you need to look inward and what are the symptoms that I'm having and what am I doing and what do I want to focus on, and really bring that forward to your physician, as well as the fancy schmancy physician side of things. But who is actually not losing track of just trying to find problems, but who is helping you nurture health? And it sounds like it should be the same thing, but it's so not, right? There's a huge difference, both physiologically and energetically, between fighting against problems, fighting against pain, fighting against fatigue, fighting against this, and this, and trying to create ease in your body, trying to create energy in your body, trying to create happiness in your body. Like, it's really just at this point, just sends off alerts in my brain when I hear people say, like, I'm fighting against depression. And I'm like, we just can't get anywhere that way. It's true. I get what they say. Like, we fight against mental health, quite frequently, but that is very different than trying to create a sense of contentment and peace. It just saddens me that so many people walk around every day just focusing on what's wrong with them.
I just got goosies because it's like, that's what breaks your heart, right? It's like, and a big part of what we do at Brand Builders when we work with clients is we really look at like what breaks your heart and what do you want to solve. And that 100% like is why you're here, is because it doesn't have to be that way. And you've been there, it doesn't have to be, and you have the tools. One of the things, what was I thinking about a minute? One of the biggest things for, that always surprises me, but it's like we do it as women, is you don't go find a solution until the problem is so bad you can't live that way anymore.
Yeah.
And, like, do you see that with people who come to you, or are you getting people like before it's so bad that they're like miserable and beating themselves up? They might not appear miserable, right? But internally, they're pretty miserable.
Yeah.
Just
I think
side. Yeah.
It's really all across the spectrum. Like, my Sally Sunshine part of my personality would really love for everyone to be strictly motivated by wanting to up level their life, by wanting to knowing that something's more for them and just wanting to optimize. But the reality is that pain, suffering, hitting rock bottom, like, catches our attention, right? And so, but the thing is, you never know where that's going to be for people. Are you hearing me okay?
Hear you okay? Cut out for 2 seconds.
We got lost for a second. I remember in medical school, studying a lot smoking cessation, people that want to quit smoking, and kind of the process of how can we nurture that to happen. It's a habit that, doesn't serve people well. And there's just tons of research on that as an example of behavior change. And one of the things that they found is that people will go to their doctor year after year after year after year, and their doctor will never tell them that they are interested in helping them quit smoking, or that they think they should quit smoking, or that there are ways to help them quit smoking, because doctors as humans us make the assumption, oh, they know they should quit, So something as simple as having those open conversations about, hey, like, how do you feel about this habit? Have you thought about quitting smoking? And you can extrapolate that, it could be smoking, it could be Diet Coke, it could be, being inactive. It really takes getting to know your client and their lifestyle and their goals and their just past, history and trauma and health literacy and beliefs. There's a lot that goes on in getting to know someone. And that's really the only way that you can help people with solving their problems, is to know the context of their life.
I agree. I also, I don't have the softest approach with people. I have a very direct approach with people, but for a few reasons. One, it's limited time, right? You have limited time with someone. And when you have their attention, it's like, I'm really big on taking a stand for people who
Yeah.
won't take a stand for themselves, or they're too afraid to look that close. So I think what a really great coach does, or a doctor, or anyone who's trying to help someone make a change in their life, and this is why the person that I worked with was so impactful, is because they didn't let me hide behind my own BS. And so, a big thing has been my weight for that, which is so crazy because like I am an active person and all this stuff, and it's hormonal, whatever. And I remember on our first call, he said to me, first of all, it's I'm a man, so that's like even harder. How much weight do you need to lose? And I said, I don't need to lose anything. I want to. And he was like, that's not true. And he made me get on a scale and do like your fat percentage and your BMI and your age and all this stuff. And I was like, once you see the numbers, it's kind of like, no, I do need to lose weight. Like, this is not like, this is only going to get worse if I don't do something about it. Right.
Yeah.
And not that I was like obese or anything. It was just like, it was not healthy. And by him going, no, you are unhealthy. Like, this isn't where you should be at this point. It was like, it hurt and it was frustrating and I like beat myself up, but I needed to hear that. And I needed someone to force me to face it, to make that change. And so I think that's one of the most loving things someone can do when they're on a mission to change X in the world, is they have to have that strong approach with people. But then you provide a loving, supportive path for it, and not a judgmental. It's going, I see this all the time. This is why I was put on this earth. This is what I help people do. You're going to be okay, right? We're going to do this together. And I think that's where you do a great job at coming alongside people on the journey.
Yeah. And I love that example. I mean, weight honestly is the biggest thing that I help women with. It's the thing that I personally have struggled with the most. And it is an example, it's a great example of the way I look at really everything in medicine, which is it can be so charged with different aspects of health. So what stuck out to me and what you said is like, I don't need to, I want to. Weight is so charged in like how we look and cultural implications of it. And so sometimes you have to, it's like sometimes you have to take things out of the frou-frou realm of like all the social and emotional stuff and boil it down to physiology. Look, you have hormonally active adipose tissue in excess of what your body wants it to be. We need to get rid of those fat cells. And then sometimes this, hugely scientific thing, the avenue is not through like the hard hitting. It's like, okay, how do we feel about this? And how do we want to feel about this? And so again, it's like, you have to have a lot of tools in your toolbox and you have to know which approach is right for people. I was laughing when you were talking, because I just always remember I practiced for 13 years with my father. Very different styles. He has since passed, but old school, scare the, living, what out of you, like was his approach oftentimes. And I would overhear him with patients sometimes, and I'd be like, Dad, you can't say that to people. And then I remember meeting his, beloved patients time after time, who had trusted them with their health for 40 years, 45 years. And they would tell me stories of like, yeah, I remember that one day I walked into your dad and he told me if I didn't do this, then this would happen. And I never picked up another cigarette or I never, and so it's knowing kind of like it's reading the room, it's having, nonverbal and verbal communication skills. And it's really building trust, which is what, having a personal brand helps you do. It's both build trust before people meet with you and then being able to continue that trust when you are working with people. And, I think you started to say, like, how do you know? You know, through like your verbal and nonverbal and, people skills, but also it's important to know that sometimes you don't get it right, like sometimes it's through trial and error. And that's why I think having a trusted longitudinal relationship with a mentor, in my case, a physician, is so important because it's not a one and done 10-minute office visit that's going to help you with weight or help you with mood or help you with whatever.
Yeah. I think that transparency is really important. You just mentioned, personal brand allows you to build trust before. What have you seen through, like, what has been, if you had to narrow down, like 3 of the biggest changes you've made or things you've implemented through working with Brand Builders Group that has made a difference, and what has that difference been?
I think a big difference has been increasing my level of comfort in showing more of my personality, quite honestly. I think maybe it's just healthcare training. I was a little bit brainwashed and like, you need to be private, you need to be professional, you need to be, XYZ. And that, I mean, it wasn't fulfilling for me. And it
Yeah.
was
And you're so fun.
exactly. And funny. Hello.
You're the best.
Hello. Um, so it wasn't fun for me to be that way in hindsight. And again, I knew like if I was stepping outside the box of the healthcare industry and how people expected, to like find their doctors, and I was responsible for teaching them about a new healthcare model and expecting them to enter into, a membership model with me, which is a trusting longitudinal relationship. You're not just committing to one, visit here or there. I was going to have to let them get to know me. And lo and behold, it's the most fun thing that has happened in my career. Like people at 10 o'clock at night, when I logged on, I saw, someone sent me just a picture of them out to dinner with their son and their granddaughter celebrating their baptism. And it's like, it's so fun that people think of me, you get sometimes you get friends from the past and whatever, and like I get texts from my patients. It's awesome.
Have you seen an increase in referrals because of that?
Yeah, I think so. I mean,
Yeah.
I honestly, my previous practice was so like crazy. I didn't know where people were coming from. I didn't know. It was just, just so fast paced and
like you can't
felt
really
outside of my control. So now I know. And as a family doctor, like you want to know the family. And so you see groups of people, you see, one of the most fun things I do is like connecting the dots between patients. And sometimes it's not always obvious, right? But like, I'll be talking to someone and they're like, well, my best friend, so and so. And it's like, oh my gosh, I didn't know you were best friends. Like, you're my best friends too. Like, I'm in there too.
We're now all best friends.
We are.
Okay. So that's like the first thing is really being able to be yourself and allow your personality to come through has created better connections. And okay, so and that's true. It's like if I'm telling you my deepest, darkest health secrets and how I feel, it's like, because you also do mental health, right? So it's like literally your deepest, darkest secrets. I want to feel like I know who you are. Like I want to, I don't want to feel like I'm talking to some like facade of a person. So that's really good. What else? Oh no. Internet's
Got
cracking
me?
out. I hear you.
Yes, I think we're back now. Yeah. Okay,
There
good.
we go.
Awesome. So where were we?
I asked for 3 things. So one was personality.
3 things that have kind of moved the needle the most.
Yeah.
So showing personality, I think just adopting, and it's probably tied to that, like where you're going to show your personality, not only one-on-one, but you have to put yourself out there on social media and kind of be comfortable with engaging new relationships. As I always have in the back of my mind, I say as a physician, but I think everybody, can relate to this. Like, we were kind of brought up in this culture of like, patients should find you, you shouldn't have to go look for them. And that's just silly, right? It has kind of like a shadow side of like, feeling too markety and feeling too, like, I don't know, desperate or whatever. And I think that's one of the ways that Brand Builders Group helps so much. It's like, no, it's not some bro marketing tactic. It's really just helping you present yourself in a way that, that you really are,
Well,
And
I'm always
so,
like, if you believe what you do is great, if you believe that people need what you do, if you believe there's no one better than you than what you do, then you have got to go out there and let people know what you do.
yeah,
It's because it's not, if you build it, they will come. They will not. That's not gonna how it works, right?
yep.
It,
It's a disservice if you're not
yeah,
screaming it from
yeah.
the rooftops.
Amen to that. All
Yeah.
right.
And I think the third thing, and again, they're kind of all maybe domino effects, is probably just I am a avid like personal development, like just working on myself, like I feel like I am very aware that I am the limiting factor in my success. And the more and I'm the limiting factor to some degree in my client's success. And that motivates me to continue to work on myself. Am I communicating as well as I can with people? Am I leading my team in as effective way as possible? And I think, I was brought up, like I think a lot of everyone, like our school system in and of itself just praises perfection, right? So you want to be perfect and you don't want to put yourself out there if you're not perfect. And so just like really working on yourself and your ability to embrace imperfection has had the most effect, both personally and professionally, for sure.
Yeah. No, I think that that's huge. And I think too, just being in a community of other people doing that is so helpful, right? Because it's like you're just surrounded by it.
Yep.
And so it's that whole like your 5 closest people, there's a million quotes around that. But
Right.
I think that's so huge. And what I love about what you shared is none of this was hard to implement. Like everything you just did was just really basic things. It's not like you have to go hire and spend thousands of dollars to do it. It's not like you have to spend hours and
Yeah.
hours creating it. It's like these are all small little things that have moved the needle, which I love because it's not complicated.
Yeah.
So, and quite honestly, anyone listening can go do those 3 things right now. Like you don't even need us to do it. If you want us, you can reach out to Brand Builders, but you don't need us to do those 3 things. I was gonna say, what would you say to the woman who is feeling sick and tired of being sick and tired, right? What would you say to her right now?
One, I would
I don't know.
say you're not alone. You hear about it all the time, the myth of social media and being surrounded by, what people portray. I hear people every single day tell me things like, I know this is so weird, or I'm sure everybody else, doesn't do this, and I'm like, you're the 10th person that day that I've talked to. Like, we are all living a human experience, and we just need a lot more grace for ourselves on the one hand, but also like to feel inspired in ourselves to take steps forward. So the most like unfortunate thing that our brain feeds us in times of stress is like, this is It is what it is. You know, like this is how it is. Our culture feeds us that. And I just feel like we have to be swimming upstream and fighting against that kicking and screaming, because we are not meant to fatigue, overwhelm. We are here to serve a purpose, to help others, and to enjoy our lives. And health, just like any other thing, can be enjoyed. And so I think, you know, making health changes for a lot of people can feel daunting, and they don't want to call the doctor because they don't want to, like you were talking about earlier, they don't want to like face the music. But I think, you know, one thing to know about it, at least working with me, is we're going to have fun doing it. We're not going to design a program that makes tired and overwhelmed. Like we're going to do it in a way that feels doable and feels fun.
Yeah. Here's a common question someone's going to have. It's like, well, how long does it take? Right? How long?
Oh yeah.
So how long?
Yeah. We have all that like rat race of like feeling like there's a finish line, right? Like how long till I feel better? How long till I feel? On the one hand, I have not talked to anyone that hasn't felt better after a first conversation. Does that mean that your knee pain is less?
Yeah.
No, it doesn't, you know? So what you need to know is that feeling better is available to you now. And also there's no like, what's your hurry? Like, where are you trying to get? Like, do you think you're just going to like not need a doctor? You're going to lose 10 pounds and then you're going to be able to not think about what you're eating anymore, or not think, you know, it's like that idea of like, how long is this relevant in health changes? So you need to be confident and comfortable in your body right now to learn how to navigate them.
Yeah. So good. So good. So if someone's going, okay, I'm open-minded, I want to talk to you, I need some help, where do they go?
Yeah. So of course, would love to interact with you on Instagram or all the places. It's Dr. Paige DO is where you can find me. The main website that talks about our offerings the most is signaturecare.co. So there's also drpaige.com that has a little more of my personal brand if you want to look at that side of things. But signaturecare.co is the place to go to find out more about our wellness memberships, direct primary care memberships, our business partnerships. We love partnering with entrepreneurs and small businesses to be able to offer our services to their employees, either alongside insurance or without insurance, because healthy, happy employees are important too.
It's like from Billions where he has the therapist on site. It's like every company should have that.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
That's like you, but so much more. Yeah, so signaturecare.co and then Dr. Paige CO. Is that your Insta handle?
My Instagram is Dr. Paige DO, Doctor of Osteopathy.
Okay. Got it. Dr. Paige DO. Awesome. Well, it was so fun to catch up with you. And y'all, I promise if you are challenged with overwhelmed, tired, stressed, anxiety, overweight, whatever, sick and tired, being sick and tired, this is the woman you want to talk to. She has all the resources from, you all heard it, like natural, homeopathic, you know, I think there's probably stuff around cycles, and there's all those things I'm hearing about, like changing your work style to where your cycle is and what phase, to actual like traditional medical. You've had the background of all of it, which is to me really impressive, and I want your brain. But if y'all are looking for kind of that one-stop shop for your health, definitely go check it out. Connect with her, center your questions, and I appreciate y'all showing up, and I appreciate you being here.
Well, my pleasure.
Awesome.